There are several multiple sources of liquidity for an ETF. When you think of them, most people think of what you see on the screen. When you look up a quote, you see an on-screen volume. That is really not what you would define as liquidity. That is just an initial layer, or what is secondary market liquidity. With ETFs, there's beyond that. Behind that quote that you see, there's what I would call a second level, which is called market depth. And what you get there is you have other quotes behind that. The size might not be as much on the ask or the bid, so they're just behind it and you can't see it all the time. That would be another level of liquidity. And for a lot of ETFs, there are a lot of quotes behind it. So there is a level of liquidity there. And what would happen in that case is if you put a market order in by accident, you wouldn't necessarily move the quote tremendously in that. You may move it a penny or two, or maybe the same, just with less size. The other level of liquidity is what makes an ETF unique and what makes it an ETF, which is the primary market, the open-endedness of it, or the creation redemption process. And that process specifically allows an individual, a firm, to say, I want to buy X amount of shares, go through what is known as an authorized participant, who is authorized to create or redeem shares, and ultimately give you those shares at a price in one block. And that is the main reason ETFs have their liquidity, and it makes it very different from any other investment vehicle that's on the market today. When you're thinking of ETFs and you're thinking, okay, is liquidity a concern and I'm buying a broad-based ETF? Is trading a concern when I'm buying a broad-based ETF? And the answer is absolutely. If you buy an ETF, pick any ETF, it can be on any major index that trades 1 million shares a day, and you think about it and you say, all right, I want to buy 5,000 shares. At the time you buy it and you put that market order in, what if there's only 3,000 on the ask? You could move it a penny, maybe you move it 2 pennies. Or if you want to sell, maybe you sell it for a penny or 2 less. In reality, while you got what would be known as a good fill or decent execution, if you put a little time and energy into it, it could have been much better. You could have saved yourself those 1 or 2 cents. And in the long run, when you think of it, you do a lot of research on an ETF. You say, I want to own this one, whether it's based on a major index or something that's smaller. It takes a lot of time to decide what to buy. However, it should take as much time or some time to execute that trade. You want to have a strategy in place. ETFs don't trade like stocks. They have characteristics of stock trading, but they're very different. And ultimately, when you put that trade in, you want to have an idea of how to do it and what makes the best practice for it to get the best execution you can.